Okay, 6 o'clock. We're going to call the Planning Commission meeting of the Bedford Charter Township to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. These chairs are take off. Yeah. Roll call when you're ready.
Okay. Tony Artis.
Here.
Gene McKay.
Here.
Mike Staff.
Here.
Kevin Bellison.
Here.
Claudia Brown.
Here.
Barbara Jones. Here. Shirley Tuggle. We have 7 commissioners present. Quorum is established.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda will be approval of the May 20th, 2025 agenda. Do I have a motion?
I motion. I'll second.
Herb and then Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion on the agenda?
Okay.
One of the shorter ones we've had in a long time. Seeing no discussion, roll call on that, please.
Okay. Shirley Tuggle. Yes. Barbara Jones.
Yes.
Claudia Brown.
Yeah.
Kevin Bellison.
Yes.
Mike Stam.
Yes.
Gene McKay.
Yes.
Tony Artis.
Yeah.
7 affirmative. Agenda approved.
All right, thank you. Next item is going to be approval of our March 25th, 2025 meeting minutes. I should have gotten a copy of that in your packet there. Do I have a motion?
The move.
For Shirley and then Kevin. Any discussion on those minutes?
I'll just have to abstain since I wasn't officially here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any discussion from those that were here on those? Mm-hmm. Okay. Roll call when you're ready.
Okay. Kevin Bellison.
Yes.
Mike Staff.
Yes.
Claudia Brown.
Yes.
Barbara Jones.
Yes.
Shirley Tuggle. Yes. So we have affirmative of 5.
2 abstaining.
2 abstaining, and minutes approved from March 25th.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda will be liaison report from Trustee McKay. First, thank you for being here and being our new liaison. Is there anything that you would like to either report or just share with the group in general?
I have nothing to report, but I have a brief thing to share with the group. My role as a liaison, I view as a little differently, maybe than some predecessors. I'm here to help communicate from the board to you, from you to the board, especially if Mike's not there at the board meeting. I'm also there to help support Mike when he's at the board meeting. My job is really not to interfere with what you're doing. My job is to provide advice when asked. I still have to vote, but I tend to have a slightly different viewpoint of my role as defined. And I hope I can help you in any way I can.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. And we look forward to having lots of questions for you to ask the board as we go along.
I'm sure we'll give it a few.
Hopefully I'll be there to help with any of that. So thank you very much for that. Next item on the agenda is our building and zoning report from Cody. Looks like he enclosed one in the packet there. Is there anything specifically, Cody, you want to touch on or need to add?
Most of it's in there.
Okay.
I didn't realize once I ran my reports today and printed that off that I had forgotten that report for the March meeting, so I was doing the plan reviews.
Okay.
So I should have technically run the permit reports from February, but I did not.
Sorry.
prime building.
Busy,
right?
busy time right now.
Especially the last 2 days.
Absolutely. Give you a mulligan on that. All right. Anything else then? No. Okay. Perfect. All right. Next item on the agenda is going to be public comment time. This comment time is going to be on agenda items only. I mean, the only thing that we have on the agenda tonight is we're going to be discussing the reports that were submitted regarding the Spring Creek Solar Farm. Are there any public comment on the agenda items only? At 6:06, and seeing none, we will close that at 6:06. All right, next item is going to be discussion of our new business. It's going to be reviewing of the submitted reports from for the Spring Creek Solar Farm. You guys all should have gotten a copy of those reports that were submitted to us by our partners at McKenna, and then the engineering reports from Green and Newhoff, yes, and the environmental study was also in there. So we'll start off with just a generalized question to the group. Does anybody have any specific questions regarding any of the reports that stand out that you're going to want answered? I can tell. Let me give a brief summary of where we are in the process, actually, and then we'll go around the table. So we've got the reports back. This was their initial review regarding the Spring Creek Solar Farm from the RFP that we put out, and we hired the McKenna and Associates to help us out with the review. These were done a little while ago. I think the middle of February, and then I think the first part of March that we got those back from the engineering office. We have passed these on to Consumers Energy, and they are aware that there were some things that needed clarification in there. I'm sure if you reviewed it, everything as far as the McKenna report goes. If there was a question or clarification that needed to be had, it was underlined. And then as you read the report, if there was no underline, they would, add a brief summary in there, that they consider that, standard in the zoning ordinance satisfied, is how they broke that down. The engineering firm and the environmental study, they did not do that same thing, but they did not have as many questions, I guess, as McKenna did. So that's kind of where we are in that process. Cody, have we heard back from Consumers as far as getting their resubmitted stuff?
Yes, they brought it by yesterday.
They did bring it by yesterday. Okay, the hard copy and the flash drive. Okay. All right. So we passed these reports on to them, and we basically we met with them a few weeks ago, and we said we would like you to, in the summary form, resubmit your application to address the issues, the findings that were in these reports. So now that we've got that resubmitted, we will go ahead and we will get all that, scanned in or, digitized, get the link shared with you guys, probably get a hard copy made of everything, so that you guys can all take a look at that. And then I would think, the process from that point would be to take what they've resubmitted and compare it with your reports that we have, and then the original application to get us ready for the public hearing that we're going to have on that. So that's kind of where we're at in the process. So I thought it was very important that everybody got to take a look at these reports and have them so that they could compare those three items, I guess, side by side. We will be sending that stuff off to McKenna, and they will give us a final report, which will hopefully indicate that, all those questions that were brought up in these are answered and whatnot. And you'll also get a copy of that before the public hearing as well. So that's where we are in the process. Are there any specific questions regarding the reports itself that you need either clarification on because you didn't quite understand, or just general questions as well regarding consumers too. We can certainly discuss that. Barb?
Yeah, I have
Yes.
a few,
Okay.
that I need clarification for.
Mhm.
As you remember, it was important to me that there be some sort of signage that would be reflected at
Yep.
night. I mean, I know everybody's gonna see the signs on, around the solar.
Yep.
In the daytime.
Mhm.
But if a group of teenagers or whatever drove up to that property at night, will they be able to see some sort of reflective signage? That wasn't, I didn't see that in here.
Yep.
I mean, I know that they've got the signs size, but not
Mhm.
what kind of lettering.
So I can tell you that so when they received the report, they did address that issue in the material that they have resubmitted. So there will be signs, that you will be able to look at in the resubmitted packet that they have for their application.
Okay.
And they will be, what they're going to put out there. In talking with them, I do believe, Cody, they were going to have a larger sign at the entrance. And then those voltage signs that you were talking about, I can't remember how many feet they said
I don't think they made a decision on every 50 or 100.
correct. They did not make a decision, specifically as far, but
Yeah.
So there's been all the way around. right?
correct. That
I
is,
mean, even if it's just a symbol of some type.
yeah.
Something that.
And I
reflects.
believe the ones that they had showed us, were, danger, reflective, the word danger, and then, high voltage, trespass, that kind of thing. So they have intended and indicated they're going to address that issue.
Okay, my other
Mhm.
clarification is in the decommissioning. Gosh, I can't remember exactly where I saw that in the packet, but there seems to be some sort of contradiction on 4 feet or 6 feet as far as
Leaving it up,
removing
yeah.
Yep.
stuff. And so what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be 4? Is it gonna be 6? I like the 6
I think the
myself.
ordinance does that.
The ordinance does say 6.
Mm.
When we sat down with them, we did point that out to them. I have not had a chance to review that stuff that we just got yesterday.
Mhm.
But I would, and how I approached that, with them at that meeting, I said, no matter what you're going to do, you need to, answer the finding one way or another, so if you're not going to meet that requirement in the zoning ordinance, you need to indicate that to us.
Right.
And then at that point, the team will discuss what we want to do there. But in the meeting, I feel like they were taking it to the 6 feet.
Okay.
They were going to adhere to that standard in our ordinance.
Okay.
But that will be something that when we get the report back from McKenna, the second review, the final one,
Yeah,
that will be in there and they will indicate whether that provision has been satisfied or not.
okay. I have 2 more short ones.
Sure, no problem.
No.
Absolutely.
Okay, maybe this isn't necessary, but, and I know that decommissioning is gonna happen maybe 15, 20 years down the road. I won't even be here, but is there a list of companies that are here in existence right now that do that kind of work? I'm just thinking, what if 15 years from now, there's no one in the area that does that kind of work? Who's gonna do it? I
Well,
mean, I don't know, I've never heard of a company that
sure.
does it.
That's a good question. I am not necessarily aware of a company that either does or doesn't, but that is why they have the decommissioning agreement and the decommissioning bond. So when it is time to decommission that, whenever that is, 15, 20, 25, 30,
Mhm.
whenever that time
Mhm.
period takes place, that is what that bond is there for. So they will have to, if there's no one local, they will have to find someone to come in and.
In another
do the
state or
decommissioning.
something?
Yep. So that's, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, well.
that is the provision in the zoning ordinance that we have to ensure that no matter what happens, they have to, you have to find a company to decommission that.
And my last question is, again, I didn't do very good notes when I read that stuff.
That's okay.
There was mention of checking the grounds every 6 months, but it didn't state who does that. There was a mention of 180 days.
That was,
Was that an engineering or?
Environmental, probably.
You think it
Probably
was?
environmental,
I
Yeah.
read it, I know. what
It
you're
is
talking
environmental.
about.
Uh-huh,
So-
and I wonder who's gonna be responsible for that? Will that be consumer power, or will that be
I
something that
think,
Bedford Township might
So,
have to do,
no.
or?
So the answer, let's see,
Okay.
well, we'll unpack this one thing at a time.
Okay,
So I believe you're referring to the inspections of the grounds regarding the drain tiles.
yes,
I believe is what you're
Yeah.
referring to. Okay, yeah. So we did, when we met with them, that was one of the things in the report that they wanted some clarification on. And we told them that, you need to specifically lay out what the plan is for that portion of the application. So when we get their resubmitted material to you, I would look at their general maintenance plan
mhm,
or I don't think it'll be in their due care plan, but their general maintenance plan should stipulate what that is. And if it does not, we can certainly address that
mhm.
at the public hearing. But we did have a brief conversation about that, and I did tell them whatever the schedule is whatever the schedule is, but you need to be specific about that in the
Mhm.
application.
And who's going to do it?
And I would assume always be either Consumers Energy or a contractor that is working for Consumers Energy. That will
So,
not be the township.
so how will Bedford or any other township that's dealing with this, how will they keep track of when it's time to do that? And will then Consumer Power notify the township and say, well, we're getting ready to do that?
or we have done that and this is what we found.
Right, exactly. I
Right.
mean, who's
We
gonna be
have
responsible?
communication
It does, we just can't assume that they're doing it.
I feel like in their either general maintenance plan or that due care plan, they had in there, like a quarterly report or, however often they were inspecting, they were going to have that report and then that would be forwarded to us. We can certainly look at, adding that as a possible, condition or asking them to, be specific in their application.
Yes, they have to be more specific.
Right.
I can't see,
I feel like that's in there, but we can absolutely double check and make sure that box is checked for when the time comes.
I could see Cody having that responsibility for the next 50 years.
Oh, great.
Well, I mean,
That calendar every 6 months.
Set up phone alarm now.
the idea with there is a general maintenance bond. I think that they'll end up putting up. I believe there's some question about that, but it's never supposed to cost the township any money. So
Right.
So however that comes to be, if that's something that we need to address as a commission, if it's not in their application, to ask them to be specific. So I will make note of that, and we will drill down and see if it's not in there somewhere.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. Can you hear them?
We can hear.
Okay.
It's not coming through the speaker.
Here we go. All right. Barb, is there any other questions that?
No, I'm quiet now.
Okay. No, it's okay. Does anybody else have any general questions about those reports? Specifically, anything you'd like us to take back to consumers, to get further clarification on?
What about water testing?
Okay. The water testing. So it was a longer meeting that we had with them, and that was when we were pressed for time, and that was one thing that we were meaning to bring up to them. So we can certainly, that would be something that we'll need to discuss with them probably at the public hearing,
Okay.
in all likelihood. But they are aware that is something that we were looking to do. They may have addressed it in that information that they have resubmitted. But again, I haven't had a chance to look at that, and I assume you haven't either, Cody. Okay, yeah. So, but so that's something that we can also circle back on. So when we're reviewing the material that was resubmitted, look specifically for that in there, and then if it's not, we'll have a very specific list of questions at the public hearing.
Okay.
Is there anything else, Claudia, that was that specifically if there was a question that we wanted to ask them to bring clarification, like if they needed to provide us with some material. So for instance, Barb's question about, wanting to make sure that there was some language in there that, said how we're going to get the reports, we would want to try and communicate that to them beforehand so that they can bring
Mhm.
material with them.
Right, and I can't,
We can come back.
okay,
No,
yeah.
no
I
big
just-
deal.
I have some notes.
Sure.
More
Kevin,
notes.
did you have any specific?
The only thing I could.
Yep.
Not, unless I totally missed it, do they plan on using a double silk fence with straw bales during construction?
So that was one of the things that they were supposed to resubmit back, because the engineers had some question on how they were gonna, prevent, runoff or whatever.
When they disturb the soil for the tile as well as the
Mhm.
wires, it's gonna be.
Correct. My understanding on that is that there is only going to be minimal digging where the inverters are, and then where they go under the road, they're going to bore under the road to get over to the substation in Berry County. They've indicated there's not going to be too much ground disturbance, and that is indicated in their site plan that there's not going to be. But they were asked to clarify that moving forward. So hopefully in the resubmitted material that will be on there.
They are,
Wait. Go ahead, Cody.
they are also working with Eagle on things like that.
Good, okay.
Since there's a body of water flowing through there, I'm sure Eagle will require them to do something like that. They're pretty strict on silt fencing and things like that.
I can't remember, Cody. Was that indicated on their site plan where they were going to have that silk fence?
I'm not in the past one. I haven't checked the new one.
Okay, all right. All right, so we'll double check that as well, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yep. Shirley, did you have any specific questions or anything?
No, I was looking through here trying to figure out what were they gonna do about that road when the last question we had was who was responsible for
Okay,
that road?
so the road agreement, so the last I heard, which was what, Friday, I think, Thursday? I can't remember, Cody.
I talked to you Thursday.
I think Thursday, yeah. So Thursday, it sounded like they were close on a road deal. And then I believe I saw something from the attorneys that they were going to have an agreement, and they were anxiously awaiting all parties to sign it. So they have indicated that they are going to meet that provision. Whether or not that's in place for the public hearing or not is yet to be determined, because they've kind of went back and forth on what the plan was going to be there. The bottom line there is two things. One, all we require is that there's an agreement there for the maintenance for the road. Right. As a township, we can't compel a specific agreement because that's not our road.
More of a county thing.
Well, it's a county maintained road. It's not even a 50-50
Right.
split road. So the only thing we can do is require some form of an agreement that says, hey, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. So that's really up for those two to hash that out. Okay. But it sounded like they were very close, and that was probably going to happen.
Okay, good.
Any other questions, Shirley?
No, I think I'll come Padres.
Okay.
Get them out.
Sounds good. Tony, did you have any specific? I know this is probably all very, very foreign to you coming in here. We've had this material since I think November. So
I'm just trying to go back and look at all the old meetings and the minutes and stuff and watch the videos. But I don't have any questions.
Okay. We can also get you. I think we have an extra.
I have Tony's packet. It's a little beat up, but I can definitely.
Okay.
One of the nicely printed ones.
If you wanted, we could definitely get that to you as well.
All right,
hopefully she didn't scribble in it too much. Gene, did you have anything that specifically jumped off to you on any of these reports?
Well, on the Pride and Newhoff report.
Okay.
On page 5.
There we go.
You've got some bulleted items there.
Yep.
And at the bottom, they have the historical grazing area of, I'll just say PBB impacted cattle.
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't identify, where are they buried?
Okay.
And are they in any way disrupting where they are buried? That's my big question. They recognize that if there's a grazing area,
right,
but they didn't recognize where they are buried. And
that was in That was marked on the map.
Was it?
Yeah.
So is
The burial site?
No, not the burial, but what the grazing area.
Yeah, I got the grazing
Marked on the map.
Yeah. But I didn't see.
Is that the question that you had for me earlier today, Claudia?
Yes, kind of like that, yes, because I was concerned about the contamination. Because when they marked it like that, I'm like, well, is that where they're located?
Yeah, is that where they buried them? I don't know.
Okay.
So they were grazing there. It didn't say buried, it said that's where they were grazing.
Yeah.
All right, and that was in the environmental report, correct, Gene?
It's a tiny move out. On mine, it's on page 5. I printed it off on one end.
Is it the 2.4?
It's under the 2.4, phase 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and we're looking to get clarification on, so they're saying that's where the cattle were grazing. We are wanting to know where they were buried. Okay.
Is that in any way?
In the same area or
What are we gonna put up?
or where that is or,
Yeah.
or whatever. Okay. We have asked them about that a couple of times. I don't know if we've specifically asked like where the cattle were buried. They've indicated the contamination was on the Berry County side up by the barns. But I don't think we've asked that specific question like
Even if it's in Berry County.
we would like to
stream.
Sure, or like to know. Okay, yep.
My understanding is part of the area that's been capped over for them to build their new barns and stuff on.
Okay.
So even on the Berry County side, none of it would be disturbed.
That's good.
But I mean, their site plan, even though, so their overall, I think their larger site plan showed us some of where Berry County stuff was.
Yeah.
So I think that we can ascertain that information and then just have them mark that on that. I'm sure it's one of those pages you've got there towards the back.
I got everything else well labeled, including the gasoline,
the underground storage tank and everything else. Yeah. Now that was on our side too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
That was at one of the houses right there on baseline.
Okay. All right. So that takes care of that question.
Yeah.
But we have a new one, which is okay. All right. So we will do a little drilling down on that. Is there anything else, Trustee McKay, that you had specifically that? Okay.
That's a note.
Is there any other, Claudia, did you need me to come back around to you?
No, my only thing was with the road damage and stuff. They were supposed to have a third-party inspection company. I was wondering who that was gonna be, but I think Barb covered that.
Okay, I do know that in their resubmitted stuff, they did have a third-party inspection done and a phaser rating done of Banfield Road. That will be in the resubmitted material.
Okay.
Yep. So that will have been done, and then that I would assume is what they're going to use to make whatever agreement they're going to have
With the county.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And this has probably already been addressed, but how are we fielding if there was a complaint from a resident, how are we fielding that? Because I'm reading two different things because, it looks like consumers is, they go to consumers, and then I read something else where it comes to us, we kind of go through it. And then if need be, we send it to consumers.
So we did, yeah. So we did ask them to clean that up in their resubmittal.
Okay.
So that is, supposed to be, I believe I want to say it's 48 hours.
Okay, there's a time.
You contact them, there's 48 hours, and then based on the type of complaint would be when the township either would or would not get involved. And that would, that's one of the reasons why we asked, if you remember in February when we asked the question, with notice, can someone from the township, whether it's an electrical inspector or zoning administrator, whatever the complaint is based upon, can that person, escorted come on to the property, and they'd indicated that they were going to do that. And I believe they still are. And I would assume that the language will be cleaned up to specify how that's going to work.
Okay.
And we did communicate that to them, I think, at the meeting. So that, yes, in the resubmitted material, we should definitely look that back over and make sure that, we're happy as a commission with that.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think I'm all set.
Okay. Like I said, we met with them. It was about 2 hours. We went through pretty much all the reports and said, these are what questions you need to answer. So, again, you'll get a copy of the new reports. And this is my personal opinion of how you would do it, but you would take, first report, second report, and the resubmitted material and just look that over and just kind of, go back and forth. And, I know it's a lot of reading in the short time frame, but that would be, I think, the easiest thing. And then we will probably, I would assume today, you don't know, because you haven't looked at it either, but their digital copy, I assume that was the full, not just the resubmittal, but it was the full thing with the resubmitted stuff in there.
I think so.
Okay.
Because he did indicate in the email he sent me Friday, that it wouldn't fit just emailing me everything.
Okay, so that's got to be the full thing.
So,
yeah. So, and I don't know how we'll handle that when we get to the public hearing, if we'll just have the 2 reports and the resubmitted stuff, and then we all have a copy of the original application, or at least some of us do. We'll work on getting you guys that. Or if we will print off an entire new copy of the full resubmitted application, because, it was 1,600 pages, and there's probably only, I don't know, if there was 50 pages that had a change on it, I'd be pretty surprised, like the changes are really just one sentence here, one sentence there. So I don't know. We'll have to think about that and figure that out.
Right.
I do think it's important though that we have whatever we bring to the public hearing, we have submitted as the final document so that we all have an understanding of what it is we're looking at.
Right.
Or not, we don't want to get into you made a decision on this document, but not that one or whatever. So.
Right.
So we'll hash that out when we get a little bit closer.
Mike, is this your first public hearing for planning?
Okay. Oh gosh, no.
The big one. I mean, a big one.
Oh, a big. I mean, I don't know. We did a few marijuana.
I don't know if we'll be in here or in the fire bay or.
I would be very surprised if we have to go to the fire bay, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But we will have that backup plan in place. But no, I would think the master plan when we redid the future land use was 40 people. So
oh, that's true.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And we've had a few marijuana ones. And yeah. No.
You've been there for a few marijuana ones?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Couldn't.
Yeah, 4.
Wow.
Okay. Did you want to do chair for the night? I will.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Did you want, I'm sure that the people will probably direct their questions and stuff to you, but do you want any of the members to say anything if necessary or add to?
No, I don't. I don't think I think we would handle that just how we always handle the public hearing. They can address the commission. We'll do a good job of writing those questions down like we always do, and then we can try and discuss them and get the answers out to them while we're doing our finding of fact and whatnot. I will say that the finding of fact is going to take us a while.
Right.
It's going to be longer than anything that we've ever done as a group. I would assume that it's probably going to be 15 or 20 pages that we'll need to go through for the record. So
should we start at noon?
Right.
That brings a point, Chair Mike.
Sure.
And ask them to develop some short little pamphlet form that would give like a brief of what they're doing and some definition of terms. And I don't.
We did submit something to us.
It's out there.
I thought I gave you one.
Yep, it's out. It's out on the table out there.
Oh, I didn't stop.
Yep.
It's running from the rain.
By now, actually.
It looks like that. Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And we'll obviously we will handle that just as we always do. The applicant will get to step up to the podium and
the folks can
say whatever they'd like to say, and then they'll get into public comment, and then we'll have questions from us, and and whatnot as well. Does that answer your question, Barb?
Sure, I wanted everyone to have clarification, especially for, Tony there, and I think our commissioner, our trustee has been to a few now, so he pretty much knows. So I didn't know if Tony was aware of how that kind of works, so.
Well, this includes Barry. Where's Barry on here? We said just us, Calhoun County. And they slipped that in again.
No,
but
we can certainly take a look at that.
Good. No, we don't want to confuse anybody. We're just about us.
So in regards to the public hearing, guys, we did schedule that. That is scheduled for the 4th of June.
Mm-hmm.
They met all the requirements from site review and whatnot and got us the documents back. So that's going to be June 4th at 6 p.m. And Cody and I will attempt to work very, very hard here to get you guys those resubmitted documents, hopefully by the end of the week. But Tuesday next week is my absolute drop deadline for you guys to have them in front of you and also get them posted to the website for the public, so that they have a full 9 days to review it and whatnot. If you guys have any other questions as you're reviewing stuff, feel free to give a shout out and we can communicate that back to them.
And I would be happy to come down and help make copies or anything that you need, or if it would help you, maybe I'll just call. Okay.
Yeah, you can call me too if you need some.
We're probably going to farm that out.
And Planning Commissioner 3 needs to have access to our email.
Okay.
We'll
When
work.
you mentioned that, we just couldn't remember which email it was, so.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions regarding the consumer?
No.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. I don't have my agenda in front of me anymore, but Tony, did you have any other questions or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Gene, Kevin, you guys are good? Okay. Just the chatty Cathy down at the end of the table. Yeah.
So,
There are public comment.
I have.
Oh, you have one more. All right. I spoke too soon.
Just for clarification, because as I go through this and I'm looking at this bond and that bond and stuff, so I went down and I kind of made a list. We have an escrow fund.
Mm-hmm.
We have a surety bond, that's for the roads, right?
Yep.
And then we have a general maintenance bond.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what that's for, other than whatever they do out there, right? Oh. And then there's a decommissioning bond as well.
Yep. Would you like me to go over that? I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you, please?
Right. So the escrow was the fee that was established by the board via resolution that is to pay for all of the meetings,
right,
special or public hearing,
okay,
any materials, our printing costs, the review, from the RFP from McKenna, any cost associated with this application in particular is what the escrow was for.
Okay. Application one.
Yep. And then the bond for the roads will be, that's something that is required in the zoning ordinance. It's just basically the same. It's just like an escrow, just different. It's bonded, so for the life of the project, I would assume, or I don't know exactly what that agreement's going to look like,
okay, but
that'll be between them and the county. So the county will hold that. Okay. And then your decommissioning bond is going to be for the decommissioning itself, which is, that estimated value that they have provided us in the reports.
Right.
Okay. And then the general maintenance bond, there's some question about that because that's not very specific.
Right.
I view a general maintenance bond as this. So there are things in there that they have to maintain on a quarterly, semi-annual, annual basis, like for instance, the mowing. Okay. So the general maintenance bond is just to ensure, like, let's just say they don't do that. They would be in violation of the zoning ordinance. Okay, so you would have to enforce the zoning ordinance, but in lieu of, enforcing the zoning ordinance, if they were like, no, we're not going to do it, or this, that, and the other, the township theoretically could go in and say, well, we're going to mow the grass and this is the bill we're going to send you, and we would take it out of that general maintenance bond.
Okay, so do we hold that?
We will hold that,
okay,
but there is some question as to, how all that's going to work because it's not very specific in the zoning ordinance itself. But that is how I view a general maintenance bond.
Okay.
Does that include any of the equipment that isn't operating for 6 months that's mentioned also in one of our reports? There's it was in one of the packets. Anything that isn't operable for a 6-month period is supposed to be removed.
I think that's the panels they're talking about. I think that's the actual solar farm, like panels and equipment like that.
Okay, so anything else?
So I would think not, just because that's their personal property. We don't, it would have to be something that is in the zoning ordinance specifically, like we require, or in their maintenance plan that they're not doing.
Okay.
Fencing, there's a hole in your fence, you haven't repaired it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I do not think we're going to have that issue, but that is how I view the idea of a general maintenance bond. It's kind of like, like our blight officer, like if you don't mow your grass, we're going to cite you. And then if you don't, I think we go and do it and we send you a bill or something like that, Cody.
Or burnt out lights. They do have lights at night, right? Somewhere.
They were going to clarify that. They're not proposing any lighting on those.
I mean, perimeter lighting.
It did not sound that way. But I did ask them to be specific in their application. Okay. But in regards to the general maintenance bond, that's kind of what we're thinking. The mowing, fence repair, something like that. It wouldn't have anything to do with their actual panels or the inverters. That's not. At least, I mean, we can certainly drill down on that, and I can get some clarification if you'd like.
I'm just curious. And it just helps us to better understand. Mm-hmm. And then, who holds the decommissioning bond?
So there is some question as to whether that's going to be MDARD or it's going to be us.
Okay.
We are still waiting to hear from them on that.
Okay.
It does sound like we will hold it, but there's talk. I don't know if you've read the most recent email from Seth. I think it was this morning about them combining the decommissioning and maintenance bond for us. Go ahead.
You want to? I can. That's fine. So it sounded like we were going. So they've had to. So technically, if the property is in PA 116, MDARD holds the bond. Our zoning ordinance requires the township to hold the decommissioning bond, and I think that is very important.
I think so too.
We should not trust other parties to do the right thing 25 years from now.
Well, exactly, because
you just don't know, right? So we did meet with them, and we said what our concerns were in regards to that. Because I do believe the MDARD is holding the bond in the Berry County side, because that stuff is in PA 116. I believe a portion of the land in Bedford is PA 116, or maybe it was all of it. I can't remember.
I think it's all of it.
Is it all of it? Okay. But they are aware that we would like to adhere to that provision. And it sounded like that they were okay with that. And we were going to discuss maybe combining the general maintenance bond and the decommissioning bond, because the general maintenance bond is not necessarily specific like the decommissioning one is. So that is something that we are waiting to get some clarification on. But they are aware that our preference is that we hold it. And I think that probably is a good idea. But that'll be something that we will flush out at the public hearing in the finding of fact.
Okay.
So, and just to touch on that briefly, the solar energy systems in your zoning ordinance book is 4.44, I think. Yeah. Okay, 4.44. So all of those standards in there for commercial solar energy are going to be what we're going to do our finding of fact on. And those will be where we're checking off the boxes. Do they have a decommissioning plan? Yes or no? Are we happy with decommissioning plan? Yes or no? Do we need to discuss a condition? Yes or no? That kind of thing. So that's why it's going to take a while.
Meeting will start at 2?
No, 6 p.m. We'll probably have to take a break, I mean. So yeah, that's a great use of a good example for us there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
but I do have the report right here for the roads.
Okay, all right. So they have submitted that from the third party, and again, we'll get all of that stuff pulled together, so we're not sending you 10 different things to look at, and it's all in one place for you. But the goal here is we're on record now, Cody. Tuesday next week at the latest. For everybody to have all the resubmitted material so that you can review it and start, crisscrossing stuff off. And as always, if there's any questions in the meantime, Cody's busy, but he's around. I'm busy too, but you can shoot me an email and we can, if there's something that you're not seeing or you didn't get or whatever the case is, please just let us know. Okay. Next item on the agenda is open public comment. This can be for anything or any topic. We'll open that at 6:46.
Ayla Metzger. Reason we're here is 2 months ago we came to the meeting and we understood that they were wanting to use some property off of Edmonds Road for storage for the marijuana farm. And that was supposed to be rediscussed tonight. And I see it's not on the agenda. Can you let me know what's going on?
Sure. I can answer your question with a clarifying answer.
Okay.
Yes. So that public hearing was continued at the meeting you were at to July 20th here at the township, or excuse me, July 22nd. Yes. July 22nd at the township hall here at 6 p.m. So that is the reason it's not on the agenda. That was continued that evening to that time, place, date certain.
Okay, because I know I took the minutes home and that's not what I understood. So it'll be in July.
Yep, July 22nd. I'm pretty sure that the meeting minutes. Yeah, okay. So the meeting minutes that were part of the packet that we approved tonight, the official ones specify that date, but it is July 22nd.
Okay.
Here at the township hall. We'll open that discussion again regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep, no problem. Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close that at 6:48. Next item on the agenda is Planning Commission member time. Claudia, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just that I would like to welcome our new liaison and our new member. And thank you both for being a part of our team.
Thank you. Barb, do you have any?
Yes, ditto, exactly what she just said. Welcome to our trustee and our new member. I also want to add, because I had the opportunity for several years to work with both Barry and Stacy in various capacities that they've had. And I just want to publicly state that I appreciate a lot of the hard work they did. I know Stacy was very diligent at researching things and procedures, and I myself appreciate that sort of thing. But I just wanted to say thank you to both of them for their service here at Bedford Township, because it's hard to get people, with all of the citizens we have in the township, to jump in and get some of this work done. So again, I thank them. That's it. Thank you.
Shirley?
Welcome to both Tony and to Jean. We're a great team, so glad to have you.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll second that. Kevin, do you have anything you'd like to add?
The real work is just beginning.
Don't scare them off.
Okay. Again, welcome.
Tony, do you have anything you'd like to?
I'm just glad to be here.
Okay.
Looking forward to working with you.
Sure. Likewise. Thank you. Jean, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, I'm glad to be on this side of the table now, having attended the meetings for the last several years, and just glad to have Tony on board, and I'm here to help.
We can do this. We can do this.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, I'll just, I guess, yeah, welcome to both of you guys. Appreciate having a full team for sure. Lots to go through. Just everybody kind of, keep an eye out for the new packet. That'll hopefully be here sooner rather than later for that public hearing on the 4th here at 6 p.m. for the Spring Creek Solar Farm. Other than that, I'll move to adjourn the meeting. I have a second, Kevin?
So
All right. At 6:51. Thank you.